Because Tinie used to rap all the time. One thing about what I've always said to him, it was about being obsessed and going into the studio and really being ambitious in the studio from the start. Because when we first started working together, I was always like, UK artists always were too cool for school, didn't put in the effort I thought. And even I felt like that's even like in the booth and sometimes like performing. So I was like, if you're so obsessed about the Waynes at the time, you need to be as hungry as Wayne and be in the studio like Wayne, or if do a tune and like if your tune doesn't sound as sick as Wayne's, then you're not really
Go back
doing
in,
it.
yeah.
You need to go back in.
Guys, welcome to Seven Figures, a podcast where we talk about entrepreneurship, financial literacy, and generating wealth, and how to build a seven-figure business from people who've actually done it. Today, we have an extremely esteemed guest. I don't know any introduction that can do this man justice, but when we talk about music moguls, names like Master P, Jimmy Iovine, Dre, Jay-Z, these are people that come to mind. And this is a person who I have no doubt in the upcoming years, his name will be added to the canon. He was one of the first pioneers with respect to people like Mega Man, who was able to shift the landscape and dynamics of the music industry and introduce what was then known as urban music and transition it into mainstream music. Chart-topping, record-breaking artists such as Tinie Tempah, Jessie J, and now Young Bane, Notes, Poundz, amongst many others. Today we have the man behind the brainchild, the entity that is disturbing London, Dumi Oburota. My brother, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the flattering introduction, Sully.
Nah, it's not even flattering. It's honesty, bro. The podcast. So I think there's a lot of people that are going to gain from what you have to say today. And I feel like this is history in the making. So it's a pleasure to be a part of it, to really get insight into what makes you who you are. Where does it all start, my bro? I know that you grew up in South and your dad had a grocers. So tell me, how did that encourage your entrepreneurial spirit from young? What was that like for you?
I think because at a young age, I think maybe academically I wasn't kind of like flourishing in school, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that side of the world wasn't really processing right from an early age, from when I can remember, but I think I identified the things that I liked from an early age, you know what I mean? So I remember I used to go to the cash and carry. I don't even know why I went to the cash and carry with my Uncle Davison one time, or I remember moments when I used to go to the cash and carry with my dad. I used to wake up in the early hours of the morning, like 6 o'clock, go cash and carry with him, and I enjoyed going there.
That's mad.
I enjoyed going to we used to get our newspapers in Tower Bridge. I remember we used to go to a cash and carry. Obviously Spitalfield Market, we used to go and get all the vegetables and stuff.
Spitalfield to the spot.
And I remember we used to go to Best Ways. I remember Best Ways cash and carry. We used to get all our stuff from there, like sweets and stuff. And I remember I just liked it. I don't know. It was it's like exciting.
Were you running errands at the time? Was he giving you jobs to do?
These times there, I must have been about 9, 10. I remember that one time I did buy a pack of lollies and I sold those lollies in the school, because I think the lollies, I realised that the pack of like Chubba Checks were probably about like £5, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's bear, so you know the ones there, so I just thought I could start showing them. But yeah, I think commerce, to be honest with you, on a level, when I do think about it, I thought like commerce, trading, I think it was like, I think I got the knack. I was just like, I like that. I think I can do that.
Yeah.
But I think it was more about people and talking to people and just exchange, like sitting in the shop. I remember sitting in the shop with my dad and I just would notice people. You know, I used to people watch because my parents used to do that, have a shop, but my dad was an accountant.
Yeah.
And my mum, he bought it for my mum, but my mum obviously didn't. She couldn't drive. She couldn't go to the cash and carry. She couldn't maintain it. So my dad ended up running it. But then we used to have a float in Carnival. Not float. We used to have like little
like a store.
Food stores in Carnival. Yeah. And I remember I just was fascinated in sitting down in the shops or sitting down. I remember Carnival, just watching people. I used to just look at people. And I used to always just watch them and be like, oh, I wonder what they're doing or where they live, or people watch. And I just used to watch characters. And having a shop in Brockley those days, you've got people like a massive Turkish community them times, and and Greek community, lots of West Indian people, few Africans, like few white people. You know what I mean? And it was just interesting to just see different cultures coming into the shop, talking to you, and it's just like experiences. You see those days, like in South London, I remember I used to see Maxi Priest used to come in because it was it was in Brockley, or Misha Paris. So you would see like local famous people. You know what I mean? I just remember this, and I just would be like, you see all walks of life. And you know, I was even interested in the person my dad, they bought the shop off. I remember I was just like very much interested in.
Were you interested in their life or how to communicate with them?
Yeah, communicate, and then their life. And then I just thought that was just interesting. It's a bit strange, but it's not.
Strange.
It's not because my mum used to do social work too.
Okay.
So my mum used to work in a lot of like women's, you know, like women at risk. Like, so when we were in Brockley, there was a nurse, like a women's at risk home in like Breakspears Road, and after school sometimes I used to go there too.
Yeah.
And I just used to like talking to people at a young age.
So sorry to cut you off. So you was exposed. Your whole life you've been exposed to a wide range of people.
I've always been. That's one thing I always say. I've been exposed to a wide range of people. My mum worked in a youth club, so she used to work in a youth club. I used to go youth clubs with her Fridays. Then obviously that's what she used to do on a Friday. Like Fridays, she used to work in a youth club. During the week, she worked in like homes. She worked in drug units, like homes. So you know, people that were like on probation. So we used to have like guys that she would be friends with, that she'd be working with, but they used to come to our shop and do handy jobs.
Yeah,
so I used to see like some people, like Larry, there's a guy, he served so much time in prison, but Belmarsh prison, but he's such a lovely guy, but he used to come to our house and do little handy jobs. But so I was interested to know, oh, look at this guy, he had such a, but like he'd had a bad life, but he's trying to come. You know what I mean? I remember he was from like South London originally, so he used to tell me stories. Then my other mum's friend Bob, I had like loads of like Jenny, like Africans, Jamaicans, white people in my house. So I think I was always used to like seeing communities and seeing my parents. My house was a very open kind of house, and so I think it gave me a good balance, a good life balance. I would say, and me understanding like the world. I think I've definitely been educated about social, you know, the social dynamics of the world and relationships. Yeah,
I think that's important as this conversation progresses, because I'm trying to see the link between that and your later on like endeavors. So at that age, you're having this exposure. So what was your hustle like? Because from a business standpoint, I know that you was a singer, all tones. You was in a group,
wow, he's got the name. Don't do that. You can't do that. Wow, how did you get the name?
Bro, I told you I've been waiting for this conversation for a
while,
bro.
I think I said this like all times. I think I said it in my wedding. How did I? Bro, I swear I've never said the name, or maybe I have.
Yeah, it's there. It's out there. Yeah. You was a singer.
This is when I was in secondary school. Yeah.
So you was a singer.
Yeah.
You used to kick ball. You wanted to play rugby. Like you played rugby, all that stuff. What was your relationship with music at that time as a business person? Like,
well, no business. Like music has been in my life all my life. You know, just growing up. I've got two sisters. So whatever they would listen to, they were older than me. When it was like from like ragga to like jungle to R&B swing, they were introducing me to music. So I would say like younger, and all my older cousins, I've had like I was exposed to a lot of street music and all the street trends. So that was very much part of our life.
Yeah.
And we was exposed to that a lot. So we did that, and then.
So you was a fan then?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Massively.
So that was it. So when did the transition start to happen for you and start to see music as more than that? Because I know I'm skipping ahead, but you said you was a fan of music, and then you're like, as you started to progress, like music wasn't a proper career. You went to uni to study sports science.
Yep.
So then when does the transition happen and you become like, this might become a business potential, or even when you started to see the impact of the music industry? I mean, this was a time where probably there wasn't a lot of like mainstream UK acts, was there?
Yeah,
like,
but we have to like reverse.
Yeah, take me back.
So obviously, when we were in secondary school, you know, 4th year, I'm listening like 3rd year, listening to lots of jungle, and then garage comes, and then loads of my friends, a couple of my friends, Shendi and my boy Garvey, they started like, and even Joe. There was a few boys in my school. We used to collect like vinyls and stuff. They used to DJ like garage, and then even like Sean, a few like that was just part of the culture, collecting records on vinyl, and we listened to lots of private radio stations, and then a couple of them got onto Supreme, yeah.
What do you mean?
Or Delight FM, Delight
Okay,
FM,
cool,
so solid, like. That was that in Junction. One of them, it was before it was Supreme or Delight. But anyway, they were on that. And so then it started becoming serious, you know. People started DJing and MCing on those radio stations. So lots of my friends were doing pirate radio stations. So we were going to each other's house, DJing, people were MCing. Obviously, I've stopped singing these times, and people are... Actually, I was still singing, but people were still doing garage. Remember those times, all the garage remixes had R&B vocals on it. So I was probably I was trying to be like Monster Boy or something like that. I was trying to get one of those cuts. Like, yeah. But anyway, when I got to 16, 17, man, I'm in college, but I start making money, you know, start hustling and stuff, and to go to the parties, to buy the
Do you want to talk about the hustling, or are we keeping it off the record?
Well, you know what? I don't even like all of that stuff. Like, the fact is, I'm from inner city London. I'm from a council estate. Do you get what I mean? I grew up on a council estate. My parents are not the richest in the world. Although my parents did look after me, but I've been influenced and been around all of that all my life. For any street hustle, do you get what I mean? So you get to a point when you're like 16, 17, and you start wanting to make money because you want the 110s, you want this, you want that. Though I worked in Gap, I had a job in Gap, so I used to work, buy my trainers. My boys used to work in Foot Locker and all of that. But you want a bit more because you go out to the clubs and you see people busting champagne, and you want to know how they're busting the champagne. So you start doing things to try to get the champagne. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, real talk.
So like, I'm not even. So it goes from that. You hustle, do a few moves here and there. As I said, and I said it in my thing, we buy and sell cars, do salvage, but you're still making a bit of money hustling. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
I started doing that, and then that started becoming a bit more. It gets like you make a bit more money when you're younger. But to go out, you're doing this all to go out and impress girls and look good. Yeah. So I really got into that. That was very much, and then it's just trend culture. It's just like now, lots of the kids probably want to be a manager because maybe what I've done in management, they see it. So it's the same way you want to be, I want to do 419, I want to shot, so I can buy some, like, want to wear those chains, I want to get that car, I want to get that Rolex, I want to go get that chain, do you get what I mean?
Yeah, it's like survival, bro.
You start doing that thing, you're like, actually, furthermore, I want to promote these parties. I want to be the promoter. Yeah. Someone's making money. You know what I mean?
And is that how your mind shifted?
Yeah. So
okay.
Then I started saying, okay, cool, come on guys, man, let's put all our money together, start promoting parties. And then I started doing that. And I was flyering, you know, when you go outside the clubs, you see people flying.
Hustle, bro.
I used to flyer and all of that. I'd done like 2 nights, but obviously it's easier said than done. Yeah. When you see it, it's hard to make sure your party's popping. So I think I gave up on that.
Wait, so your party flopped?
Well, did it flop? Well, it was, I would say it was probably more of my friends that were there. More people that knew than just random, you know.
But you met your wife flyering,
yeah,
though.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. So I won.
Yeah.
So anyway, I did that. And then those times you're still going out, you're still doing stuff. My friends were at uni. I was at Greenwich these times. Still trying to, you know, one of my friends is shot and you start, man's going to build up a line in uni. I start showing. I remember I bought some weed off of him. Oh my gosh. The weed, it was dried up within. I didn't do nothing. But anyway, you don't have to know that. But I remember that. But anyway, so that failed. And so one of my boys, because I was always like trying to do business, figuring out, selling phones, doing this, doing that. And then one of my friends just said to me, I remember we were driving up to one of my friends, Ose. I was driving to Bristol Uni because we used to go out. You know, when you go for the weekend, go out to see your friends, turn up. He goes to me, Dumi, you know what? you should look into artist management. You know, I think you could be a manager.
On a random one.
Yeah, because I used to be the guy that I would know, okay, this is the night, we're going to this night. I'll call up, I'll say, I know this promoter, I'll call them up. You know, when you've got like 10 man and 10 of your friends, they can't get into the club, I'll get them into the club, do you know what I mean? Because I'll talk to the bouncer, or I know this person from this place. So they just would be like, they're waiting for me to get them in. So, you know, when you're just that connector, or I know this person, or they give me a laptop, I sell it to my news agent. I was just like, fast. So my friends relied on me to be the guy. I would say I had the gift of the gab, you know what I mean?
Yeah, from being around so many people.
Yeah, exactly. So I knew how to maneuver. So then one of my friends said that, my Ghanaian friend, Ose Amponsa.
Ose Amponsa. Oh, we might be related. That's my mum's name.
Probably.
That's my mum's name.
That's my brother right there, Ose.
Oh yeah, it might be from my mum's
Mr.
village.
Silver's brother.
Oh, serious? Okay, cool.
So we grew up together, went to school together.
Oh, his older brother then?
Yeah, his
older
brother.
So his younger brother.
So he said to me, yeah. And then after that, I said, you know what? Because these times we were singing, trying to do music, doing that, and I was like, you know, you do music on the side, go to the studio, see my friends, obviously hustling, doing this, doing that, and then I just done some research and I read about it, and I remember I just got obsessed with it. I was like, oh, it's management. This is it. You know what I mean? I was like, yeah, I can do this. It's got all my skills. I do music. I know music. Obviously, I'm passionate about it, and it ties my business side, a hustle
together. Who were you looking at though for inspiration? Like, if you were like, because for me,
so then obviously when I started doing that, well, I was reading books, and then obviously the you know, I was looking at the person that kind of really got me is like Dame Dash.
Dame, you can't have a conversation about this without talking about Dame.
And to be honest with you, so 2001, me and my boys went to Napa. And I was like mad, like into So Solid crew.
Yeah.
And I remember like what they had built on the island, and Mega Man like was very much like, I just liked his business acumen. I could see he was like hustler, like he understood, but he was able to apply himself.
Yeah. Because
I've always been like this long silly. Like sometimes how do I explain my story, man? I lived on a council estate, but I went to a good school. I went to Haberdashers. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So I was always used to. On my estate, I would, you know, you have to act in a certain way.
Yeah, you have to survive,
My area, they call obviously ghetto boys and Peckham boys. So I've always been like, my cousins would hang around in Peckham. I'll be in like more Broccoli, but just so around. So you always have to understand how to communicate. Do you get what I mean? But then when I'm in school, I'm not talking like that.
Because you can't, yeah.
And my other friends in school are from like middle class kids. Do you get what I mean? Yeah. So I think I've always been like, kind of like bilingual.
Yeah, socially. You can, you can navigate both worlds, definitely. Yes.
So sorry, where was I?
You said you saw Mega. You saw So
Solid. When I saw Mega, I saw that he was like he was from ends and from the street. But I was like, this guy's like eloquent, like he's intelligent. So when I saw that, I was like, that's it. Like somebody, like I could see that he could maneuver.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, it's happening. And then. So that was one point, and then when I saw like Dame, it was just like, okay, these are my type of characters, like, you know what I mean? They remind me of boys that I grew up with, but they're just putting their business, like the hustle, into the music.
They came to dominate.
They came to dominate. So you're seeing all like Cash Money, you're seeing like Master P, but I wouldn't really say I had the thought of like in terms of ownership, and that it was more about management at the time. Yeah. So then, I was just like, you know what? I started reading books about the music industry, and I was just like, okay, cool. I'm gonna just try to do this.
So let's get to the point where you're looking for your first artist. But also, I was reading somewhere where you talking about you was working in the youth center, innit? Yeah. And you heard grime, and you saw how the kids were connecting on it and how they were coming together. Did you see that as a business opportunity, or it was just like an interest? Did these two tie together? You becoming a manager?
So I tell you, now I'm like still hustling, doing that. So I'm like about 21. I dropped out of uni in Greenwich, and then I'm just like hustling. But one thing about me, I always have an A and B plan. Like, so I was hustling, but you know, you start making money, and I saw lots of my friends, they go prison or they get caught because they don't have no regular income. So, but I really liked youth work because I was doing that voluntary when I was at 14, and I've always wanted to be like a positive role model in the community, because I always, because I remember, as I said, growing up, I've always had positive role models in the
100.
community. So I thought, even if, we're all doing the same thing and we've got the same aspirations, but kids need to see positive people
to aspire to.
You know what I mean? Or boys or brothers that are still from their side, but they're only going to listen to people like ourselves, you know what I mean? They're not going to listen to no one else. So so I was working, I used to work Wednesdays and Fridays in the youth club in Roehampton, but I was still like hustling, doing my thing and like doing music. And I was trying to manage an artist.
So you'd already started managing an artist?
Yeah, I started managing. Well, I was like starting to manage an artist called Stealth, an artist from Bristol University. One of my friends, friends.
Yeah.
But then I was reading books. I was like, okay, cool. I need to get him a contract. Here's a contract. I need to find a lawyer to write me a contract first. And then I went and found a lawyer locally. Like I remember on Worth Road. He gave me a contract. I paid him for the contract. Gave me a contract.
Oh, Woolworth Road.
Yeah.
Just like you just walked in there.
No, but basically there was a music Bible. I ordered loads of books.
Oh, right. So
there
you
was
on
a
it like
music
that?
directory. Yeah, there was a music directory book, and then there was a music business book. So I was reading them, and the music directory had loads of contacts. So it would be like lawyers, and then you put South London lawyers, and then I just went to the person that was closest to me.
Has this always been a thing that you do? Like, if you want to get into something, you immerse yourself? Because
I think I'm kind of like maybe a bit kind of like obsessive, but I think that came from not doing too well in school.
Yeah,
and my sisters and that being academic, so I think I just know if I apply myself to something, I put my head to it. I have to apply myself. I have to take it serious.
Yeah.
Do you get me?
Yeah. So you found this lawyer.
Yeah.
You're working with this. You're trying to work with this artist, and then
I got a contract, gave it to him. Then he didn't end up signing the contract. Yeah.
Okay.
So then anyway, so I was like, you know what? He didn't trust me, but I was ready to pay for videos, and I'm like, fair enough. If you don't trust it, because I made the contract very artist friendly. Because remember, I wanted to be an artist, and I read in the books that all bad accounts for management and artists, you know. So I was like, okay, cool. This is gonna be a really soft contract. I remember it was 12 months with a 12-month break clause. So it was
right.
It's
easy in and out.
Easy in and out. But he wasn't on it, so I was like, this is like, I could lose because I'm gonna spend money on your video, but you could dip out, but you don't trust me. So if you don't trust me, that means you don't trust yourself. Because obviously, these times I'm hustling, I'm on the street, so I know, like, I ain't got nothing to lose. So I was just like, fair enough, don't bother. I don't want to do it with you. Then let's just bounce. Yeah. So these times, I was just, me and my boy had bought a place. I was just sitting in the house. And I used to watch loads of Channel U. And then I used to work in the youth club. So then on the Fridays, I'll bring out the decks.
Oh, okay.
And when I bring out the decks for the kids, remember these times, we're now listening to like funky garage. I'm going to the parties. You know, 23, 24. I'm older now. I'm not in grime. I'm making money. I'm just like, you know, you're in like the champagne. I'm one of the guys busting the champagne in the club. I got there.
I was involved.
I
top tier.
I got there, top tier. Like, so I'm not looking at grime.
Yeah.
So then, anyway, so only when I go to this, I pull out the decks on Fridays, and I see obviously all the boys, they're wearing academics, the black boys, the white boys wearing academic, and I realised that everybody had come together. Because when we were younger, it was a bit more of a black and a white thing. But then these boys, like, the white boys were talking like black boys, the black boys were talking like, they were all talking the same slang, like, moving.
And you observed this, like, you just observed this, like,
I was watching it, because, you know, like, everyone's got the mic, the little kids, and then one little white boy will come and start
and he's
killing it,
the white boys
and I'm like, okay, it's happening. So I'm looking at them wearing their academics and stuff, and there was a couple dubs that they would just be killing, and I'm like, some of these kids, this is serious. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so then obviously, because if you don't see it happening at grassroots level and you're just watching like on Channel U, you don't realise that it's
You don't understand the cultural impact.
Cultural impact.
Yes, definitely.
Because remember, these times you're like 23, 24. You just want to. Actually, I'm losing track of my dates, but you could probably. But you won't be in that space.
No, I get it. It was a very young thing. I remember at that age, I was a bit younger as well, but it was like, grime was like the music for the road, innit? Do you get what I'm saying? So even like, for us, there was so many like political implications. If this man's from this end, you don't really want to be listening to his music. Like, it was very like intrinsically linked to street culture.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a mainstream like entity, you know what I mean, or property.
So then I started like paying more attention, watching like Channel U, understanding, oh, that these lot are from here, this is this, and just started paying attention a bit more. And I was like, okay, this is the vibe. I need to find one of these like artists. And then I was used to watch Channel U, and I used to watch Channel U, and I used to like analyze like, okay, if they did this a bit better, that would be good. Or if they, and my sisters and my girl at the time, she was just like, she used to hate watching it with me.
Yeah.
Because they'll be like, just shut up, man. Just stop making comments. If you want to do it, then do it then.
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, nah, this one, if he was doing this, you should do this. And if he'd like...
And you was breaking it down
scientifically.
So this is research.
Yeah. So I just would watch it. It'll be on 24/7.
Who were you looking at? Which artists were you thinking, I'm going to go after this person?
Loads, man. Obviously, Retro was a massive...
Yeah, true.
Retro series. I saw the series.
That was Punctuation.
Yeah, Punctuation.
Yeah.
Like, okay, he's got it.
Yeah.
And so then... I remember like Rich, obviously even like Bruiser was good. Bruiser, I like Bruiser had a very like he knew what he was doing, you know what I mean? Like Bruiser, I liked how he was coming through. Who else was like massive? Obviously N-Dubs were good them times. But I'm trying to think before I like. But Mike GLC used to do his
truth,
Mike, you know, there used to be a few kind of like, it was a funny, Channel U was a great channel them times, like, because you just sit there and laugh, and some of it will make you laugh, some of it you see some great talent, and so I would just look, and then I was really on a search to try to find like somebody that I could put some of my, I thought these times a bit of my like my knowledge into or my influence into, So
let's talk about the big man. So then the big man comes along, Tinie. Do you want to tell the story in a brief? I know, and I've heard it, but do you want to say it briefly?
But anyway, I was into trying to look for management, and I was trying to look for artists, and like, you know, I go to my mum's house, Tinie's mum, my auntie's in the house. Obviously, I'm not living at my parents' house. You know how you go to your parents' house when you don't live there.
Yeah.
You ain't been there for a while. You eat or say hello to your mum, and she's there. Oh, your auntie's here. I hadn't met her before, but we probably had. But you know, we're older now, so you know what I mean. So then I'm like, okay. And she said, what do you do? I said, I'm managing. I'm trying to get into music management. She goes, oh, your brother, he raps. I'm like, yeah. You know them ones.
Whatever.
And then anyway, we went to one of my uncle's house, and I saw Tinie, and I was like, okay. Handsome, like, young boy, you know, little cousin, like, you know, when you can just see, because these times you look at the like 16-year-old, you're like, okay, where you from? You know, you think you're cool. I'm from, where you from? I'm from Woolwich. Okay. I got a house I just bought somewhere over there.
Stunning them.
You know, not even stunning, just like come through, because I've always like, you need to look after your people, you know, that when, like, sometimes if you're the older brother, I remember I had like 2 older cousins that looked after me, so when I see like a younger cousin, I know what he's going through being the oldest boy. You need a little bit of like your people's around you. You know, it's hard out here.
It's hard, real talk,
when you're younger, sometimes even if it's the fact that it makes you bop a little bit more different when you think you got your peoples, because people can't move to you, like, it's all the politics of growing up,
especially in London,
So I was just like, come through, man, like, come through, let's like talk. But then he went about his business, because he's 16 now, probably just thinking he is doing his thing. I'm too old for him. There. So he's thinking, and then I was sitting in my house, and I saw him come up on a Bruiser tune.
Oh, Aftershock, innit?
So I swear that's Auntie Rosemary's son. It's actually all right. So then that, when I saw that, I was like, no, I need to find this kid. So then,
So then it went on. You said, let me abbreviate, but you said you couldn't find him, and then you ended up walking past Nando's.
We're in Nando's. I was with the missus, like, going to the cinema, and he was going to Nando's. And then, I jumped out. I was in Nando's. He was going to the cinema. I jumped out. I said, yo, Patrick, this is like, remember me, your cousin, we met at this party. He's like, yeah. So I come through, just take my number. I took my number, and I remember he was going to SFX, and I went to SFX before. Then I just come and picked him up. You know
In the
them
car,
ones
yeah,
there?
you give him that
So he's
older,
like,
yeah.
he's like, yeah, you're rolling. You know them ones. So these times he's thinking,
Yeah.
that's my guy. Yeah, you know, when he saw that, he's like,
Yeah.
I remember I bought him a phone. I was like, take this Samsung, like, come through. Look, you know, he comes to your room. I got bare trainers. You know that? You know?
Yeah. I know.
He's like,
we
no,
had the
but
olders,
to be
innit?
honest
We had
with you,
yeah.
but like, he's such a good. That's my brother, man. Like, I just wanted like I could see the potential in him.
Yeah.
You know, the ones there.
So how does that first conversation start now? Actually, from
No,
anyone?
we're just. I'm saying I could see he obviously loved music, and he's got to a point where he's done the wifey.
Yeah.
He's doing things, so he's obviously doing his own thing. He's in his little space. So then I was just like, obviously, I'm trying to do music management, and I'm just like, cool, let's go studio. Like, send me some tapes. He sent me some demos. He was quick with it. Sent me some demos. Sounded really good, and then I was like, cool, let's go studio, and just started booking studio for him. And it just take your time. It's more about us really getting to know each other first and just being friends. And then we just started hanging it like every day. Just started being around, me and my boys, like
and just bringing
bringing him around.
So Aftershock wasn't a label. I don't know what were they, because I thought at
It's
the
a
time.
click.
Oh, it was just a click.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
okay.
obviously no. But I think they may have. I don't really know the background of that, but I know it was a click. They probably had some level of an imprint. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
But it
cool.
wasn't signed. Those type of things. Business wasn't really.
It wasn't kind of
Done like
it
that.
wasn't there. So okay, cool. So let's start to get into the business. So you got your first artist, Tinie. Yeah. What is the first move? Is that when you set up DL as a company?
Yeah.
Okay, so you set it up as a
With
company
me and my partner, Lyndon, at the time.
at
Yeah.
the time. Oh, okay, so that's Dumi and Linden. That's the name. Yeah.
Well, yeah, kind of. But them times we were hustling, so you almost call it like on a DL, like just on a down low, you know, down low records. You know, that was it.
Yeah.
We're just doing our thing, you know. Then
Yeah. I hear you, bro. I get it.
You know, yeah.
So explain to me, how does you set up this infrastructure as like how are you gonna
No,
fund this
because
first video?
by then I've obviously I said to myself, cool, I'm gonna do business. You know what I mean? I'm getting into this properly.
Yeah.
And so by then now, I've read loads of books, and I said, okay, cool, we need to register a company. So I registered a company, registered it, and then I was like, okay, cool, we're gonna record music and put music out. So then I've got a good network of friends now.
Yeah.
Loads of people, I knew loads of people. So I remember, I don't know how I met one of my friends, like Adam Loveday. He used to work for a big advertising company, and he used to do adverts.
Yeah.
So then, but he used to have the equipment over the weekend, so we used to shoot on the weekends. But I remember,
So
like,
you'd
with the
rent the
equipment,
equipment?
he would have the equipment on a Friday and not have to give it back until Monday. So
yeah.
I have like top quality equipment
For discount.
So like, yeah, but I had money, so I could I pay him like $5,000 to shoot a video. But then that's why Tinie's videos them times like Hood Economics and
Was Hood
Tears.
Economics the first one you shot?
Yeah, Hood Economics. But that's the thing, because I was just like, these times I knew he wasn't associated with any clique at that time, but he just needed to look bigger than the rest of them, and I knew that was gonna like make people like respect him, because that's what it's about.
Yeah. It's perception.
People perception, isn't it? Yeah.
So the money this is all your own money you're putting into it.
Me and my business partner.
And you and your business partner, you're putting the money in, like, it's business, but where are you expecting the payoff? Because I think a lot of people neglect
we're
this.
expecting the payoff at the time. Like, you're looking at MySpace, you're thinking, okay, cool, he's getting up to 1 million followers, you know what I mean? Like, so you're thinking, okay, cool, even if we get 10% of that, do you know what I mean?
So what, buy records?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll make a bit of change. You know what I mean?
which-
So that's what you're thinking. And then there was a big healthy, those days, Shabs had a booking agency.
Okay, I don't know Shaz. What?
Shabs, So Solid Shabs.
Sorry, yeah.
Had a booking agency on Channel U, so we used to get bookings them times. So Tinie had loads of bookings at under 18s. He used to do well for himself. From Wifey, he was getting bookings. He was doing shows like,
because Wifey was huge.
yeah, he was doing like £300, £500 bookings. So he was making a little bit of money. So for him, at least for my thing was, there was a paper trail.
Yeah,
So it could only get bigger.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
yeah, he was.
So
he was,
you're we're speculating, you know what I mean, and just waiting for okay, if it's here, it's obviously gonna get bigger.
Yeah, he's a profitable asset. Like you knew it.
Yeah.
So you lot put all your money into Hood Economics, yeah. So what's the next step from there? Because you're like, we're gonna invest in Hood Economics. Were you working on an album and then
Hood Economics here? Then we want to remember that we had an album called Hood Economics.
Okay, you had a project. Oh yes, you did. Yes, and you lot pressed that and sold it.
Yeah.
How did that process work?
Well, we ended up pressing 10,000.
10,000.
10,000 because I remember I'm like thinking like we just take a percentage of his 1 million. You know them ones there, and then
you pressed 10,000.
10,000,
and
then boy. Like, so when I called the distributor and said, okay, cool, we got 10,000 records. Like, what, 10,000 records? I'm like, yeah, 10. I remember 10,000 records come into my house. Like, at the time, big lorry with one of those, you know, a pellet.
Yeah, bro, that's a lot of,
In the corner, I'm like, boy,
that's 10,000.
But I thought, obviously, you're thinking you got 1 million followers, so you must kind of sell 10,000 records, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that wasn't the case. We done a few sell and returns, took them. We done obviously lots of giveaways. Then, but this distributor we put some in HMV. He took a few from us. HMV like about 3,000, and then the rest.
And they bought that straight 3,000.
Well, no, it's sell or return.
Okay,
they just take it and give you
whatever.
And then I used to do a few bits. Like I had the book of all the record shops in the UK. So we used to drive up to Nottingham, but then tie in a performance with T in Nottingham, or he does a little signing with his fans. So it was these times there was an adventure, to be honest with you. And I remember how much it cost us for like 10,000 records. I think it cost us about 4,500. So these times I was doing 50-50 with my boy.
So it's not a crazy amount.
Yeah, to be honest with you, we had a bit of change sometimes, or in your head you thought
That's
that shit.
Because you're chasing that ambition.
It's fun. It's like you think you're gonna make money, so you want to flip it, isn't it? Yeah.
So you sell these records, you put out this album, this project. It does, in your opinion, it does moderately well, yeah.
Was moderately well is relative. Like it all depends. It put us on the map. It was good to see Tinie had a CD in HMV. It kind of gave us a lot of opportunity. It had a review, funny enough, on New York Times. He got an interview in Playboy in America. So it kind of, every time I would get a call about his project, it kind of let me know that we were on the right page. You know what I mean? So it put him on the map.
Yeah. So from the trajectory of your company, Tinie's on the map now, what was your business plan before the next step actually happened? I'm curious to know, what was your thinking?
I just really wanted to concentrate on T. I thought he had the USP. His USP, I thought, like, I remember these times I was really close to my distributor, who ended up being like a mentor and a business partner at the time. So he used to take me around. I'm starting to get into the music business, you know. Yeah. But he used to do folk and indie music. Yeah. So I used to go and sit down with all of his old friends, like sometimes in like pubs that I should never be in, like on the Wardour Street, the Ship, and they used to be.
But them man have made money off the thing,
Oh, and just they've sustained business.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I could see that there was a sustainable business and in the music industry. It was like these guys are independent, so it was like more of a penny business. I used to watch how they moved and what it was about networking. It was about obviously having a certain level of quality and just bringing your project to your links from press to from press to making sure your live is good and everything like that. So I was watching and hearing all their stories from the past. So it kind of like these times I'm just focused on releasing music. Yeah. And so I started doing some distribution, some urban distribution for his record. So I done Kyla, Kyla, Do You Mind?
Of course, man, yeah.
I done the distribution on that.
Under page. DL?
Well, I think so, maybe, but I think I had a little imprint with Cadiz, but it was my signing. I done it with Cadiz. But Corey Johnson had that record, so we paid for the video, done the distribution on that. We done Malika's, like the other girl, Malika, sorry.
Yeah.
We done all her Funky House records.
Oh,
so
really?
we done a few things.
Yeah.
So I did that. I was doing that, and I even sat down afterward because I was a mad fan of Wretch. I
Yeah.
tried to do Wretch's tape. So I was trying to do other things. Plus, I had my label. I was doing like releasing tea stuff. So I started thinking, okay, cool. How can I get into like properly? Like,
And this was all independently funded at the time.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But with the distribution, because I've done like a JV with Cadiz, I'm not paying for the video.
Yeah.
They paid for the video.
How does that work? How does the JV with someone like this work? So
Well, he was just breaking me a piece of his, what he was distributing it for. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So I was taking money from his side. I forgot what they would take as a distributor, but obviously they will pay for the videos, and until they recoup from what they've spent, then you split
Oh, okay.
with like, you know, whatever label you were doing the distribution with.
Oh, okay.
But my thing was about me just getting into the business and offering deals to people and talking to people and closing things, because I saw there was a market. So I was trying to introduce him to the urban scene, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it was good for me to just go in and talk to people and closing
And
deals.
learn how to, yeah. And you were doing this by yourself. How much was your business partner involved?
No, he wasn't doing this
He was just-
distribution stuff.
He was. Oh, so
He
this
was
was
more
separate.
with me and Tinie.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So I just started getting in, and maybe I think I started doing this distribution stuff maybe when he left.
Oh, so you guys had a split then?
Yeah.
Okay, is that something you want? Was that business differences?
No,
or?
just
Alright, cool.
concentrating on stuff, and just it started becoming more serious to me. But you know, at the time, you know, just personal.
Yeah. So then, were you deliberate in the next? Because then I imagine Tinie gets signed, didn't it? And this is really what.
They hadn't been signed.
No, I mean the next step after all
Yeah.
of this stuff. I imagine this is where you move into Tinie getting signed. You know what I mean? How did that come about? Because that first record deal, like, it just came out of nowhere.
Yeah,
Or...
well, it seemed like it came out of nowhere. We were working, so we've been working together now for about 6 years, putting out
6
records.
years?
Yeah, putting out records, doing videos and stuff.
How many videos did you? I know Hood Economics. I know you did Tears. You did. How many did you?
We did one with Agent X and that. Hood Economics.
How many
Cheers.
projects? Just one project in that
Yeah,
time?
one project.
Okay, cool.
But these times things last for longer.
Yeah, it's not like today.
Yeah,
Here and gone. Yeah.
And then loads of remixes. But he was doing freestyles, radio. These times are just trying to get him in the mix.
Yeah, keeping the
but-
momentum.
Oh, we done, and actually we done Hot Now. I remember we done Hot Now in New York. I shot that video, MIA thing. But you know, these times you're doing remixes, you're doing this, you're doing that.
Yeah.
So then, so I had my business partners left me, and we were concentrating on the music. But money, people started getting signed. Like Ironic was his DJ. Ironic got signed.
Ironic was big them
Chip
times.
got
Yeah.
signed. Tinchy was blowing up.
Yeah.
So, but Tinie was still out there, kind of a Channel U guy. We were doing our thing. He was doing lots of stuff, but no one was coming to us.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, you know what? I could see that Tinchy and them lot were blowing up. So I said, you know what? We got a label. We can just do it all by myself. So these times I've changed the name from DL to Disturb in London.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, cool. We can just do it. So I was just like, let's record kind of like a pop record album of the sounds that were going on, you know, Strider Man. And
Yeah.
So the music had moved on, so we just made a record, and I was just gonna put that out by ourselves. So then when that happened, before that happened, he had a booking in, because we met the guys at Live Nation. It was Steve Homer at Live Nation, and I remember I sent Steve, my business partner introduced me to Steve Homer. And I sent Steve Homer Tinie's MySpace, and he saw his
Followers.
MySpace.
Yeah.
I was
It's
like, "Whoa,
popping. Yeah.
wow, look at this!" Like, and then obviously T had a blog and all of that. I remember sending him his blog, his little
The Milk
press
and
release.
Sugars.
Yeah,
Yes.
Milk and Two Sugars. I sent him the press release and everything, and he was like, "This guy's a star." So he ended up booking Tinie for Wireless.
So you just got his contact and just send it to him like that.
I got his contact through my friend.
Oh,
So
okay.
we went to meet him, and then we started talking, and then that's how it worked. And then Steve booked us, and then I remember Tinie, because he had his blog used to get some mad views these times. He just told his fans that I'm gonna be at Wireless,
And that's a big deal from MySpace. Yeah.
So there was Umpo was signed to Parlaphone, and she performed before him, but then he had bare people waiting.
Yeah.
Or maybe he done it before her. But all I know, loads of people were waiting for T, and then when he performed, they all left. And then the A&R's like, who's this kid? And then he contacted me.
Yeah.
And then the rest is history.
How was that first? Was that your first dealing with a record label?
Yeah.
Like, how was that? Who taught you through that one, bro? Because I've seen these contracts. This is not an easy like.
No, remember I had read a lot of books, so I knew by then. Remember, and I've recorded a tape. We've already put out one mixtape.
Yeah.
So I knew, obviously, in terms of like distribution, what was coming back to us. And then I was just like, I'm doing it all by myself. We got studio. I had an office, and I was just like, I'm gonna lice this record. That was like the whole
that dame mentality.
Like,
yeah,
I'm doing it. We're doing it. And I remember going to a load of meetings with Richard and seeing lots of people in the music industry and listening to them. And I was just like, I remember one time I walked out of one of the meetings, and then thanks to Rich, right, I said, Rich, like, these guys don't know what they're doing. And he goes, Dumi, exactly. That's it. They don't. And I was like, for real. You know,
that's when you knew. Yeah, that's when you clicked. That you know you got the source. Yeah.
And then I was just like, so I was just on it. So when I walked into the music, like, although I hadn't had any direct major links, I was very much independent. So I wasn't scared or intimidated in walking into an office like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So up until this point, everything, you're making your own money, your business is profit, and you funded.
It wasn't profiting.
Oh, there was. Oh, you said that you lost. You was in the minus,
loss.
but you were still invested.
It was floating.
No,
it was maintained. It was good enough to pay. Tinie was making a little bit of money. I wasn't making no money. I was in minus. I was probably like 30, 40 grand minus. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there was cash flow for the business. Well, there was cash flow to pay off a credit card. There was cash. I remember because Richard helped me now. So I've got a business. I've got a business account. I've registered the company. I remember I had a NatWest business account. I think I had like £500 credit card these times, and I had spent all my money now because I wasn't doing no hustling. I was just,
you just left.
I left it. I was like concentrating on the music because I was just obsessed. There was like a thing. I was like, I wasn't ever happy with doing that stuff, and I lived like my, our cars would be outside our house in the daytime. We're not leaving our house. Neighbours know that you're not living a regular life.
Yeah,
so I started going to the office and the studio like 9 to 5.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I got into a routine.
Yeah.
So then when I got into a routine, I just like so basically anyway, as I was saying before I divert, so he gave I had a credit card. So I'd spent all my money, and we had like a £500 credit card. And I remember sometimes obviously bookings come in, they'll pay off the credit card, then I have £500 again. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
minus, you're in and out. That's the lifestyle.
I remember I rented out my house. I was sleeping on my parents' couch.
Yeah, to make money from.
You know what I mean? So because I couldn't pay my mortgage anymore.
Yeah, so you needed someone to.
Yeah, so I was just full in.
Yeah. So at this time, did you have your own studio as well? Was it
Yeah.
So you were paying for the own studio
cool,
when
the
the
studio was key.
Yeah,
I couldn't lose that.
Because it's an investment, it's an asset.
Yeah. Studio is key, so cool. Keep the studio, leave my house. I don't really need to live in my house. Rent it out, stay in my parents' house, and then But then that was like for a year and a half, and then he got signed.
Okay, so does the signing bring some money in? If you're
signing Tinie at the time. Tinie got signed for 150 grand.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but all inclusive. So that's inclusive. So that's to finish the record. So that's 150 grand.
Do you want to break that down for people that are listening, just so they, like young
150 grand inclusive deal means your recording costs sit in that deal.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
150 grand.
Yeah. So meaning the expenses. So
advance for the artist plus recording has to come out of that.
That specific. Yeah.
So I remember when we got paid, like I think I bought Tinie a submariner. Gave him a sub, so he had the sub, so he can be in the video with a sub, so it looks like he's elevated. And then I think we were paying him like 1,500 a month, so he had money. And then I think they've closed it.
They closed it now still.
They need a drink. They need a drink.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, you get signed 150k. You bought Tinie's on a salary. You can afford to cover certain things, and you're saying you bought him a watch and all that kind of stuff. So now you there's a bit of money in it now, but then there's the pressure with the money as well. You didn't feel that?
Well, no, because it wasn't like crazy money that like we weren't around like in amongst that. Like I've spent more than 150 in the grand scheme of things. You know what I mean? It's like I've bought a house, so it wasn't like mind blogging. That's what was kind of like where I feel our success has been, and because I don't think at that time it was more about the business and it was about the future. So I remember, so Tinie now, when we started, before we done the deal, he become a business partner, owned, like I gave him a percentage of Disturbing London, and then so we were business partners, and then we had to make the record.
Yeah.
Go on.
And you had the record ready to go already. And
Yes.
you were gonna go with this Biker Boy single.
Yeah, Biker
was that
Babes.
label Biker Babe? Sorry, was that label approved and everything?
Yeah. We shot a video for that.
Oh, serious?
Yeah. Tinie actually, I'm trying to think what come first. I think Tinie signed, but he signed the publishing deal too. I think we signed the publishing deal first.
Can you explain how the publishing deal works for people that are listening? Like,
publishing is obviously the side of, it's the collection of your royalties and your royalties on your record and the performance rights of your records, so it's really about, publishers are usually investing in the futures.
Yes.
So they're investing in your potential futures of where they believe your music and what your music's going to do. You know what I mean? So Tinie was signed and his publishing was signed just before his record deal.
And they normally give you money when you sign publishing, right? They give you money up front. So you kind of got money coming in from both ways. So you get the publishing deal, you were saying, Master Shorty, yeah.
So we had a publishing deal. So by then, we really loved Master Shorty. So I remember we were like, Tinie was like, there's an artist called Labyrinth that's on this record, a producer called Labyrinth that's done it. So we asked our publisher, Amber Davis, can you get me in contact with Labyrinth? And then she looped us in with Labyrinth, and then we went to go.
The Chocolate Factory,
Yes.
with Green, iconic, that's...
So the first session, Tinie was in there, they did Pass Out and they did Frisky.
Yeah.
No, they did Pass Out. They did Pass Out, and I think they did Pass Out and maybe a little bit of Wonder Man.
Serious? So you lot changed the world in one session, bro? You changed the whole...
I've never seen a session that, when Tinie and Lab got together, it was like magic. It was madness. Tinie even turned it into a different, but like, because Tinie used to rap all the time. One thing about what I've always said to him, it was about being obsessed and going into the studio and really being ambitious in the studio from the start. Because when we first started working together, I was always like, UK artists always were too cool for school, didn't put in the effort I thought, and I felt like that's even like in the booth and sometimes like performing. So I was like, if you're so obsessed about the Waynes at the time, you need to be as hungry as Wayne and be in the studio like Wayne, or do a tune, and like if your tune doesn't sound as sick as Wayne's, then you're not really
go back
doing
in,
it.
yeah.
You need to go back in. So I think by then he'd been in the studio and he'd been practicing studio for so long. When he got into Labyrinth session, I think obviously he had the publishing deal now, his record. I think he felt he'd landed. Yeah. So he knew he had to take it to the next level. And then I remember in the booth, he started doing that, yeah. And then it was just like, yeah, that's sick. And then he just, Pass Out was mad. I remember when we were in the studio when he did Pass Out, and then everyone in the studio started saying the lyrics. And when you're like,
it's in their head. Yeah, you got something.
There's some magic here.
This brings me to your approach, like as a creative, like producer, entrepreneur. What are you like? Because you see man like Diddy, you see guys like that like change this hook, do that, dude. What are you like in that context?
I'm kind of like, obviously people don't really know that, but anyone that's worked closely with me, any artist that I've managed or would tell you that I'm very like, I can contribute in the studio. I can articulate what I feel you should do, because I've been around music for a long time. I don't like do take that and take 5% publishing, but I've contributed in a few musical structures, a bar here and there, but that's just not our culture. But that's what I'm passionate. That's why I can stay and spend time in the studio. I've spent hours and hours in the studio with artists and days just trying to perfect or push them. I think I'm very good at pushing creatives. I think that's part of my skill. I can talk to creatives and they feel comfortable around me.
Yeah, I think more people need to know that, because I think it often gets overlooked. A man like you doesn't have multiple successes with different artists without having a tangible contribution towards
Yeah.
the process. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think it is important for people to understand.
Visually, down to creatively, sonically, style-wise, I'm very much hands-on.
Yeah.
I'm a creative businessman.
Yeah.
I'd say I'm very much a creative businessman.
Yeah. So after you lot make this record, yeah, I know I've worked with music industry. You know, my cousin has a creative and production company, artist in Ghana, and I talk to labels. You know, I know how it works. I know for a fact that your first single, they did what they had to do, but you guys had to do a lot of the work to make a #1 song, especially coming from what was quote unquote an urban artist. You need to drop us the gems as how you engineered that.
Yeah, we very much around. We at the time we were around like the culture, like the cool kids. So them times there we were very much in Shoreditch, like before Shoreditch was Shoreditch. So there was a nucleus of like real cool taste making people at the time, and we were around them. And it was about T being embedded in that space, you know, where people knew, okay, you know, yeah, when I see him, yeah, they move like this, or they do this, or they drop this, or they do. So that's part of the whisper. People need to see that you're doing it, because he had done the music thing, but then it was about fashion and the culture, you know.
Yeah.
So I remember we were at Reggie and A-Side at the time. Reggie and A-Side used to have a party called Trading Places.
Yeah.
And they were very much like in the cool clique. And I remember, and I said, if they can accept Tinie here, it's off.
Oh.
And then I remember we played, and Amy Winehouse, may her soul rest in peace. I remember when there was this party, she came down to a Trading Places party, and they played the record, and people were banging on the roof, and they're just like, we got hit. Because the cool kids fucked with it.
Oh, so you guys, you went from the ground and thought, let me build it up from there.
Very much.
How did you know that was going to work?
Because I'm from the streets.
Yeah. So you understand what connects with the... But this was an urban song, you know what I mean? Did you know it was going to go #1?
No, not at all. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I knew it was going to go #1. I just thought we had a big record. And it was the biggest record T had done since... You know, he had like Wifey, he had Tears. But this record had felt... It was a coming of age, you know what I mean? Like, it was where he's like, obviously his grime roots coming with, it was the coolest record he's done that I could play to my boys.
Yeah.
For a long time, if I played the record to my friends, they would be like, it would go over their head.
Yeah.
But this was the record that they were like, yeah, this kid's cool, this is sick, you know, the ones there. But yeah, I think he came of age, you know, he's been around like a lot of like, he knew where he needed to sit, and he had experienced things. So even what he's saying on the tune, it was all his life. It was real to him by then, you know. Like he had bought himself a work because he was doing shows. But this was, he already had a car. Like at the time, he started making a little bit of money. Like he could buy himself a little 1 Series, a brand new 1 Series. I remember.
And it's all from show money.
Yeah, show money before he done the deal. So then. The little the deal gave him a little boost up, so there he's got his watch, he's moving, he can rent a place now. Yeah. So then everything he's saying, me and him live together, he's living that life. He's got there now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, I used to drive past a bus I used to run for, you know what I mean? He's there, that's his life.
So it's authentic. So how are you doing though? Because you got the company, and I know for the artist it's cool for him, but you still got a lot to. You haven't made any money back yet at this moment.
No.
So what's your mindset?
I'm happy that he's moving, so I know that if he's moving, we're gonna move.
Yeah.
And I'm just on like, obviously we're in a record deal now, so I know that the opportunity is endless.
Yeah.
I've kind of come through now. Like I'm legal. I'm like, I've landed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if we're gonna do that, there's more opportunity. So I had a few, obviously he introduced me to Bubs and Scratch at the time. They were producers, and then we had met Sasha Keeble at a talent show, so I was looking after Sasha. So it was just about trying to sort out T and then try to get the rest of the artists signed.
Yeah, so then the project, I mean, the album, the pass out is like the catalyst for discovery, innit? So that goes off, bruv. So you're like, I've arrived now, innit? So where does that put Disturbing London as a company on the radar of people that are like, are contacting you and the people that are trying to like be like partner with you?
I think we were concentrating on Tinie, so I don't think Disturbing London wasn't. I was happy this record that is gone #1. I've licensed it to Parlaphone, so we're very much, and I licensed the music so I could have creative control. It wasn't really on a financial level. I just realized that if I license it to them, they have to get our approval before they put out anything, called we've got a little bit more power. They can't do anything without our permission. So, and I was used to just doing things off our own back. So that was the point. So I was happy that, cool, we're in the game. We've got a good deal the way it's structured. It's good for the way we want to do business. And so I just wanted to just maintain the success both of us did. So it wasn't really about Disturbing. The Disturbing London side was done because the business was structured around Disturbing London. So I was happy. It was more about Tinie being successful.
Cool. So Tinie. So in that context, Tinie's gone in it. Like he's successful.
Not really, but yeah, had one hit. That's when the pressure starts, because you need a.
I remember 2 Chainz saying that actually. He says the timer starts after the first hit.
Big time.
So, talk me through that process. Then
I remember we're just like, okay, cool. We need another tune, so we're on the roads now, and we're listening to Frisky. He's doing it, and then you're just like, yeah, you hear that, and you're like, okay, cool. We got another one. Me and T, even to this day, we're very like close and like hands-on when it comes to music, and he's like, Tinie's a mad student. He doesn't settle for, like, he doesn't have low standards, so he always wants people's opinion, and he always wants to know, okay, have I got it? Am I doing it? And I've always been very honest with him. So I remember when we was on the bus, we were on a tour bus when we were listening to Frisky, saying, okay, cool, that's the next one. And then we just were making music. Like, there was a few. He went to the studio with Laban for a few more times. And then he had Frisky, he had Wonder Man. Them lot had clicked. So there's a few. So we were just picking from the demos.
And you was on tour at this point?
Yeah, we were doing shows. But you know, after Pass Out, you're doing like shows. Yeah. It's a whirlwind now, you know.
Yeah. And the show fee goes up from like this to like this, right?
Yeah, I can, yeah. Yeah, probably, yeah, but you just think life had just gone from this to this, everything, you know what I mean? So, but you're just trying to maintain, you're just like, okay, cool, we didn't look back. Frisky came out, Wonder Man came out, then you just get bigger, and then, you know, then you're starting to do shows in different parts of the world. And then you're like, okay, cool, we needed this, we're doing this in this country, but then you need to make sure that we're still cool in England, so we need to drop this. Like, so it was just for at least like 3 years. I remember it was a whirlwind.
How important is this cool element? Like, because I feel like the key to your success, a lot of it has been you're very connected to the social culture. You know what I'm saying? You can interpret it, you can observe it, and you can manipulate it, which is like value.
Yeah, of course.
But how important is that you keeping a radar on this cool element? You keep on coming back to it. Do you understand? How important is that?
It's like everything.
Serious. So even as a superstar artist, yeah, you're still like, we still need to have people on road, like.
Of course, and not maybe really. You just have to have your finger on the pulse. Really, it's not. We're selling street culture. It's cool. Like, that's what Virgil's created business from. That's what Kanye has created a massive empire from. It's like, that's what it is. And obviously, some people can come into this space and be part of the space, or you could say, as they say, culture vultures. But when you're one of the people that can create, or you understand where it's coming from, and you can stop and make it start, and you can stop. That's where I always just want to be. I always want to feel like I know where the cool element or where things are. You know what I mean? And it's important to me, because I think that's what kind of, it's inspiration for me. It's what keeps me hungry, and just because it always evolves. That's what we are. That's like what you've been brought up on, you know what I mean? Like, from since we were kids, sometimes we're trying to be Shabba Ranks, then the next couple of years we're being Jay-Z.
Yeah, being gangster,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was even watching Menace to Society the other day, and I was like, I remember like Menace to Society when my friends, some of the catchphrases and everything, that it was all your slang from school was centered around menace to
Old dog
society.
and
You know what I
Kane.
mean?
Yeah.
It changed everyone's hair, like the whole thing, like you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get.
So that's what it's always been about.
Yeah. So where does Jessie J come into this equation then? Because
So Jessie was, remember, we've now, like, Tinie's got written in the stars, so Tinie was around at the time when Jessie broke too. So when we were in America doing loads of radio tours,
yeah,
Jessie's on some of the radio, like the Jingle Bell tour, like we may be in like
is that
bloody Chicago.
was she signed to you then?
No.
Oh.
We were in Chicago and stuff like that. So, or we'll be in LA and she'll be doing like a Jingle Bell tour, and then I'll see her there. And that, so Jessie like broke her. She was signed to an American label, but she's English. So we just saw her. So she used to do loads of the same shows. So then Tinie and Jessie were friends. So she's been seeing us around, touring around the world, and she was just a friend. And then I think she got to a point where her and her management weren't really seeing eye to eye. And then it was Tinie who told me that Jessie needs a manager, and he's like, you know what, D, you should do it. And I thought, you know what, maybe, yeah, let me do it.
At this time, you had Tinie, Sasha Keeble,
Yeah,
and
Wiz.
And Wiz. Okay, Wiz. Okay, yes.
Wiz before I had Jessie. So yeah,
Actually, let's bring Wiz into the conversation and about early days Wiz.
that's 2011 Wiz.
What before Holla
Holla at Your Boy,
You're
like
talking
he did just had done Holla at Your Boy, and he done Tease Me.
So that's Wiz, like when
Yeah.
we was like first. So what was? I mean, he wasn't signed at the time, or
No, we signed to, oh man, Banky and
Banky. Oh, he
Shegun.
signed to
Yeah, he was signed to Banky and Shegun at the time. I forgot what the label was called, man, but EMI.
That's it,
Yeah. So he was signed to them, and then well, me and Shegun, I have so much respect for that guy, because I came in like that English manager. Oh, you're not signed. They got all your rights. You need to get out of the deal. You know what it was. But it wasn't the best deal. But but I helped him come out of the deal. But me and Shegun and Banksy, they're still my guys. Like to this day, I got lots of respect for Shegs.
Yeah.
And then then I started looking after Wiz. I used to fly him in here. Right, he used to do demos, and I used to. Obviously, we got a few offers. Like Ferdy from Polydor offered on him like about 12. I was just obsessed. Like when I heard Wiz was
it was
star.
true from early.
You know what I
yeah,
mean? He
from
cut
Truth,
through.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I met Wiz.
Cool. So we'll get back to Wiz. Yeah. So with Jessie J, you signed as a management.
Yep.
And then you brought her onto the Disturbing London like creative company.
Yeah. More. It was about like Jessie. I always thought Jessie's a major star, but by then she had become so big, but there wasn't any like, you could say at the time she didn't have a very clear like defining style or culture, and I feel like then I thought she was big. I just tried to like make her a little bit more cool. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think the year that I worked with Jessie was a big year. Like obviously she did Bang Bang with Ariana Grande and Nicki Minaj. We did that. That video was crazy. We released her record, and we toured around the world. She had never done nothing in Asia. We went over to Asia. We did the Voice in Australia.
Yeah.
She toured Australasia. She toured. She done a full tour of America, as I said. She did the UK. So I kind of like just connected the dots and just brought it together. Like, and I think like definitely in Jess is like, even like now what she's doing in Asia, very much the stuff she did in The Voice.
Yeah.
So that kind of spoke to the Asian people,
Market,
you know what I mean?
no
But
way.
yeah, Jessie's a star, you know.
Yes,
and then we moved her to America, which she didn't want to do at the time, but she did it, and it's been great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think it served her well.
When you say move her to America, are you talking label relationship? What are
No,
you talking
she
about?
was always signed in America.
Okay, she's always
to
been, because
Republic.
she wrote Party in the USA,
Yes.
right? Yes.
But she used to release her music through Ireland. But I feel like they appreciate a big vocalist, a big singer. She's a diva. Jessie's a global star.
Yeah.
And she needs to be in English. In England, sometimes we don't appreciate talent.
Definitely.
So she just needed to be in a place where they appreciate that. And they'll always appreciate what she's doing. So I
Yeah.
just always thought she just needed to be there.
That's it.
Because that was from what me and T learned Like when T's had like a #1 record he had a #9 Billboard with
Written in Stars.
Written in the Stars.
Yeah.
And so lots of people always said to us, you guys should move, you should have stayed here. But because Tinie's a rapper from England, I just didn't think we should stay there.
Yeah.
And I think we made the right choice.
Which makes sense.
But if we did stay there, he would have made a lot of money, and maybe he wouldn't be known now over here. But maybe he could. I don't know. He could have started a
reality TV show.
He could have done reality TV. Could have done a tech company. Tinie's very successful, but America, the opportunity, success breeds success in America. So you never ever know what would have happened. Like you know, like me and T have been in LA, parties in LA, and like, you know, Lewis Hammer is there, Idris is there, Travis Scott, like our house parties. So it's literally America breeds success.
Yeah. It's always kind of...
So you never know what could have happened. But I'm happy we didn't.
Yeah.
Stay.
You mean physically, just come back? Yeah.
Yeah. We had to come back.
Yeah. So when you went into America, I want to know: are you signing different deals in different parts of the world for this relationship to work?
Which ones?
Like when you're in the UK and you move and you're going over to the US, are you signing different? I want to know what your relationship with the record labels.
So
are like
basically, my artists, all my relationships internationally. So for instance, Tinie, he was international because he had international hits. So when you start becoming a big artist from England, you have your repertoire owner is your English label, yeah? And then you have labels. So if you're signed to, these times we were signed to EMI when he was big, right? So EMI's sister company at the time in America was Capitol. So Capitol, because when we had Pass Out, I was like, this tune's moving in America. I was getting lots of calls from people from Interscope Record, Atlantic Records, but like Parlaphone hadn't taken me to America, and I was like to Miles Leonard, who's the head, I was like, Miles, I'm getting hits from America, like people want to do this deal. And he's like, is it? I'm like, yeah, look, Interscope, Atlantic, they're offering. And so then I was like, he's like, you know what, dude, that's why I fuck with Miles. Big up Miles Leonard. He's like, okay, next he calls the Americans. He's like, Greg Thompson. Greg runs Maverick Management now. Greg Thompson was the head of Capitol at these times. So he gets on the phone with Greg. He's like, Greg, I got this record. We need to come and see you. Anyway, we fly like next week to New York, and then they do a big presentation, and I'm telling them who Tinie is, this, that. But they have like country singers and all of that. But Greg is like, okay, D, I'm not playing me some music. So Greg's like, I don't know about this Pass Out record. We can get like a couple of my urban department. We get a few features on it. And I remember, I think I have Jim Jones jumped on it or something like that. You know, just like someone jumped on like Pass Out, like, and I was like, okay, cool. But that Written in the Stars record will make it a hit. You know, Americans. Americans. They're like, yeah.
They put in on the WWE.
Yeah, I've never seen that. That's when I really saw the power of a real record label.
Serious?
Yeah, like they. But you have to work bloody hard to make. Like Tinie worked. You're going from, you know, South Coast, from South to East to bloody West, sitting talking to radio producers, like, you know, programmers, talking to them how good you are, because radio own the power in America on radio. So you have the radio, like, producers own the power. Sorry, programmers, they're producers over here. Radio programmers own the power over there. So it's very much talking to them, taking them for dinner. So Tinie, we're gonna add this record. You play it to them. They're like, I like it, because it's driven by advertising. So if they hear that they think they can get adverts on this. And so there's a rap record, basically. So T done lots of pop radio in America, like Z100 pop. There's like, you go from rhythmic to pop, which turns you top 40, but then you've got urban. So sometimes when you hear Migos and all of them, they're getting urban records, they're getting urban ads. It's like hip hop, #1 hip hop record. But to get on a Billboard, you're doing pop, so you're dealing with you're getting the same ads as like a Taylor Swift or, you know what I mean? So when, like, Drake may have one, like, he gets Billboard records, but so Hotline Bling may have been his first pop proper, but the rest of the stuff, he's been having like urban #1s. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get totally what you mean. So it seems like you were able to put pressure on the labels. How do you manage the relationship with the labels? Because even with the lawyers and stuff, like all of this, do you have like a certain group of people you always work with, or is it like you're just going in there yourself, like you said, to pitch it?
Yeah.
You just go in there yourself.
Yeah.
Okay then. And that's the skills you learn from just knowing how to talk to people.
Yeah, pretty much.
Serious.
Business is about, it's like if you've got a hot commodity, yeah, there's always a deal to be done. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And in any business, there's always a deal to be done. But it all depends on, sometimes you're going to win, sometimes you're going to lose. Sometimes it's a win-win, you know what I mean? But there's always a deal to be done. And you have to be realistic to know the deal that needs to be done. You know what I mean? You know when you can push it, yeah, where you can put a bit, you can play the poker in the hand and you can go, you know what, fuck it. If you don't do what I'm doing, it's not going this way. Yeah. But you should know the time when you're like, okay, cool, that's a good hand. Okay, let's do that. Doing it. You know, some people overplay their hand and you don't do no business. But I always know, regardless, if I'm going into something, there's a deal to be done, and I'm gonna find the deal
and work it out.
Yeah.
So in that context, let's talk about Disturbing London. Then your management, record label. You know what I mean? You have like all these other extensions, cultural supplier. What would you identify your company as? Because you guys have multiple artists, you have painters. You know, you have all the, what would you identify? What is the structure of the company right now? How many employees does it have?
Oh my goodness. We've had much more employees before. Maximum employees I had before was like about 15. But now head count. The boys are even here now. How many people do you even? Huh? Yeah, about 12. Yeah, probably about 12, yeah. We have about 12 people in our team now.
And what are the main functions in the team?
We have an A&R team, so I've got A&R records. That our A&R team does records and pub, right? We've got accounts, we've got marketing, and then now I've got like a communications business and a management.
Okay.
Yeah. But before I had like management team, I had the record label team, I had like production, I did videos, I had loads of people. I had like management JVs, yeah.
Wait, so you don't do production in-house?
What do you mean production?
Like you saying you had video guys?
Yeah, I had video guys
before. You don't
before.
do that in-house anymore?
No, not really, no.
So you outsource all of it?
Outsource that.
Is that cost effective, or is it more like just
I feel like
workload?
Ideally I would love to do production in-house more, but I feel like sometimes what I've found is just in doing business all by yourself and sometimes being young and doing business, or I would definitely even say to being young and black doing business, I feel sometimes I've learned that sometimes expansion or expanding too quick or having massive overheads is risky because it's hard to manage so many different characters and everybody thinks you're winning.
Yeah.
When they see you expanding, they always think you're winning, you're making the
rather
most
than
money.
us as a team.
Us as a team, but they don't understand that you're usually the last person to make any money because you have to pay everybody.
Yeah.
So like when they see a big ship, they always think, yeah, you must be. So it just kind of like got to a point where I was just like, you know what, I need to have a very slim, through experience, a slim, agile team that I can spend some time with and let them really understand what the true
nature of
the business
real
is.
Talk, yeah.
Because I felt like when I was traveling and I had a big team, they always thinking, well, Dumi's okay, he's traveling, getting on this plane, doing that, and then you can't nurture people, you can't talk to them, and then they get mixed messages.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really get to where it needs to get to, you know?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I can attest to that because when you're hiring so many different people, the mentality is always like, but he just got this, that person just got that. I want to talk about your A&R team because I think this is super important. You've gone from like what would be called urban, like grime, hip hop. You've gone pop, Afro swing, drill. Like you've had hits in not just every genre across generations. How do you curate such a good A&R team, bro? Like you've managed to find artists. You know what I mean? You like for me, Disturbing London is never counted out of the culture. Not since Tinie up until this point. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. I would say obviously.
Let's say artists like Notes, for instance. Where does Notes come from?
Notes was signed by Tinie.
Okay, so Tinie signed. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How does that work? Tinie's would bring an artist to you, and
No, so basically, no, he was signed by Tinie's publishing. So obviously, Tinie's been around, like, the business that we've been doing for the past, like, 10 years. And then in the last 2 years, Tinie set up a publishing company. And so he signed a few, like, big things.
Oh, okay.
He signed Notes, he signed Nana Rogues.
Oh, and the producer, yeah, Nana,
Producer
yeah, dope,
Nana.
yeah.
Yeah, so he's really been concentrating on that. Because Tinie's probably one of the best when it comes to, like, his ear. His A&R ear. He's got a great ear, and he knows exactly what he wants and what he sees. So, but that's through iron sharpens iron. Both of us have, like,
you've learned the game. He's learned
exactly,
the game from you.
the
Yeah,
game,
yeah.
So, and it's a pleasure seeing what he does because he's great. I've always said to T, like, regardless of what he does in life, he can be one of the best if he puts his head down and does it, because he's great at what he does. He's actually, you can't write songs like that if you're not good.
Yeah, real talk.
You know what I mean?
Real talk.
And he hears a song. So it's just really, if he really wanted to concentrate on this, Tinie would actually be, I think he would give me a run for my money. Yeah, no, he's actually good. Actually, Tinie's really good.
Cool. So if Tinie's got notes, talk me about this. How are you finding all these talents then?
Well, it's just, again, it's the same. It's been the same practice from when we've been on Channel U, like, and obviously spotting talent and just being around people. I can spot talent. I can spot creatives that can contribute. I like to assemble a good team. I like characters, like people that have got wide visions and ambitious people. You know what I mean? I definitely think it's taken a while to find the right players, but I think I've always got the right players around me. But sometimes it's hard. I'm a relationship person, so I like long term. If I'm in it, we're a team and we do it for a long time. Throughout the years, I've realized that some relationships don't last forever, and some people are just transitional seasons. But I would like long term because I feel to get the real fruits of a relationship, sometimes you have to go through a roller coaster. You have to go through your highs and you go through your lows, and then you really know that's when you reach greatness, because you know what you can do. That's where me and T are at. You know what I mean? It's like we know, like, we can't do it without each other. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because we've gone from the lowest points to the highest points. So we know we're great at what we do. And that's when you're around greatness, that's the only time you can really know that you're with greatness. I feel what I would say to a lot of young people is trust relationships. Trust the romance of relationships, and don't be so, like, you know, transitional or so like, I feel the generation that's coming through sometimes a bit more like snowflake-ish, you know? Yeah. As soon as something bad happens, they want to leave. They don't want to... Some relationships, it's not always rosy. Yeah. You have to go through things with your relationships, and sometimes things are not going to happen overnight. Yeah. And I feel if people are a bit more patient, they may have a little bit more success around them. But, you know, nowadays success is definitely coming a bit quicker. But yeah, so basically in terms of A&Ring, it always starts with the song, and it starts with like a feeling, you know what I mean? And so my thing is, be it from an indie record to a hip hop record to a house record, it's just feeling. Yeah. It's like authenticity. It's like there's a vibe that you get, and I always try to not run away from that feeling. And that feeling maybe is the first feeling when you first heard that garage tune that just gave you like goosebumps, or we all get that feeling like when we hear music, you know, when it's quality. And I just feel like I can't explain it, but I've tried to not dilute that feeling. Yeah. So how I sign things is all on that. Like, obviously, excuse the pun, but it's like X Factor. Sometimes as an individual, you can spot a star, but it's just the same way you can spot like a star on your block. Yeah. It's the same thing. You can spot a star in your school. You know what I mean?
They got that energy.
Some people have got that energy. You know what I mean? And then with that energy, talent. Anyway, one thing that doesn't die is talent. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so I always just purely focus on talent. So if somebody is amazingly talented, like musicians, like it's a gift from God, and so sometimes some people just have it. Like Wiz has it. Yeah. You know what I mean? and he's had it.
Yeah.
T has it. Jessie has it. It's just about they just need to be around people that can help them
Take it to
the next level. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I remember Jermaine Dupri was saying something about how when he saw Criss Cross, like they wasn't artists, but they would walk around the mall and people would just follow them.
Yeah.
Because they were just cool. And he was like, what do you kids do? And they were like, nothing.
Exactly.
And he was like, okay, I've got something
Exactly.
here. Do you know
Yeah.
what I'm
Some
saying?
people have just got it. You know what I mean? You can't articulate it, and some kids have just got it.
Speaking on relationships, can we talk about the Wiz situation, just in the context that, like, is there anything you'd advise anyone who wanted to manage?
Yeah, I've never really spoken about Wiz like on a podcast, to be quite honest with you, or really publicly. I would definitely just say, sometimes you shouldn't let your emotions get the better of you.
Yeah.
That's really the mess. That's what I've kind of like, and even with Jess, like, I'm such a passionate person, and sometimes you get passion and you get love, you know what I mean? And as I said, when you're from the street, it's like it's all or nothing, and there's certain rules. Loyalty is key and trust is key for me, you know.
Yeah.
So sometimes in this game and music industry, sometimes there's not that much trust or loyalty. You know, everyone's looking for an opportunity or trying to do this, or you have a lot of people around you that talk to you, and I'm the type of person, if I'm in it, I'm in it. Nobody's really going to convince me that. And then I know how great I am. So it's a combination of, like, having, you know, being confident and being like, I know who I am. And then expecting a certain level of loyalty or trust from the other person. But then I haven't taken in consideration, like, the pressure it probably is being an artist.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point, yeah.
And people not knowing... Maybe this is just through me being more mature, me not understanding, like, okay, there's a pressure and people maybe not think that it's going to last forever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they deal with things in a certain way.
Yeah.
So I've kind of like, that's the flaws of people's characters sometimes, but they learn. Everybody learns,
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
you know what I mean? So
yeah,
that's the...
I mean, before we get to wrapping up, then in that context, talking about artists, yeah, what's the difference? Your first hit was like 2000, like 2009, 10 was, and now to 2020, you're still breaking artists. What has changed? How hard is it to break an artist now as compared to it was then, or is it easier? Like, has streaming helped your business or not?
Well, streaming is definitely...
Yeah, we're gonna wrap up soon anyway. Cool.
Yeah, artists, like, now more than ever, I would say streaming's helped, because everybody's, like, in terms of the independence or the control that artists have in their career, you know what I mean? Technology and streaming is technology, so artists have the power in their palm, yeah, to have access to their core fan base, to release music, to record themselves. Fans have the power to consume, to communicate, and to view what their artists are doing, or their favorite artists are doing. Yeah. So it's made things more accessible, and there's a much more speed. But with that access, has become more disposable. Yeah. And then with it becoming more disposable, it's made the artist more vulnerable. And it's like I'm bloody rhyming, but I'm not. I didn't mean to do that. But artists are more vulnerable because they've now, fans can communicate, tell them what they think about them, say this, that. So then it takes now a stronger character to really last for longer.
Yeah.
Because there's more access to them, you know what I mean? So with the speed has come more vulnerability, and it's more disposable.
Yeah.
So with everything, it's a balance of everything. I think we're still kind of trying to figure out what the future of an artist is in like 2020 and beyond, you know? But it's amazing. Music is like water. People need it for life. Music's never gonna go.
Yeah.
But how people cherish it and the value of it is changing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's for us as creatives and people in the business to add value and then try to influence how the consumer consumes it and what they value in the art, because it's an art, and we should cherish the creatives behind music. You know what I mean? So That's the vibe.
No,
I just think a hit's a hit. A hit's still a hit.
It's still, yeah.
It doesn't change. We're still chasing hits from 2009 to 2020 and beyond.
Yeah.
So everyone's looking for a hit.
Yeah.
But the type of hits and what drives the hits and, you know, what people are really interested in after the hit has kind of changed.
Changing. Just your business. You've got a joint venture with Parlaphone. That's probably the most recent like development. What is the joint venture like? What's that like? Does it give you more freedom, or is it just like because you're partnering with the label now, right?
Yes. So joint ventures just means that we've got a full service label. We've got marketing people. We outsource our radio. We outsource our press, and we can A&R and sign acts directly with a budget. I put budget towards their marketing spend, so we're in more control. We're in the driving seat now, so more instead of giving a record and letting people like run our campaigns, we're running our own campaigns now, and it's actually very rewarding. You know, working with Young Bane, working with Poundz, working with Kidda, like trying to break cats like UG and stuff. I feel that's been very fulfilling because it's nice to be on the other side where I haven't really had to I'm not doing like the babysitting of management. It's more about you're great, you're talented. Let's
put the
work.
machine behind you.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And then I don't have to deal with the phone call.
You come a long way, boy. That's
the phone calls. They come in and out, but they're not as regular.
Yeah. Cool. Since this is 7 figures, bro, there's so much more I could have asked you, but time is running. Since it's 7 figures, I got to ask you the 7-figure question. How did it feel when you made your first 7 figures?
How did it feel?
Yeah.
I can't even remember when I did, but how did it feel?
You didn't sit back and thought, oh, rah, man came from like this to like...
Yeah, like... I think I'm always like head down, to be honest with you, but it feels good. Like my thing is the thing that I actually is like when I can help my family or, you know, going on holiday, taking my mum and dad away, or being able to, you know, if I help my brothers and sisters or, you know, my kids, just being like having a little bit of like independence, you know what I mean? And definitely like buying my house, like, yeah, it's great, but the more money you make, the more problems you have. And I know everybody says that, but it's true.
Yeah.
Because the more money you make, the more the tax man's onto you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So you have to start planning and thinking, okay, cool, I need to do this, I need to do that. But that's all part of the rush, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The rush. So when you've landed and you've got there, it's part, okay, cool, it's real.
This is what the company's
so this
worth.
is what it's worth, and so I need to do more.
Yeah.
So it's all sport, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's probably like when somebody knocks out somebody first and they're a boxer, they just know they have to do it again or they're going to get knocked out. So that's probably the best way to put it.
Dumi, it's been a pleasure, my bro.
No problem.
Like, thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for being supporting and being on the team, bro. Thank you very much for the call.
Thank you, Bubba.